Madam Zasada.
Hello, hello. It's a very great honor to present in front of you in this historical building where my great-grandfather or grandfather actually witnessed the explosion of it many years ago when he was in Dome Centrum. I finished secondary school on this street and I lived in that building for 2 months this year. And we have established a great company over a year ago now with the team in the back row. And with more people who are here who are supporting us along the way, who I've met in trains, conferences, sidewalks. And here is the history of 0x KYC. Who are we very quickly so you know what I'm talking about? We are providing a service where a user can access a game, vote in a DAO, or do really anything else on the basis of their face. Your face is your wallet, and we turn your facial biometrics into a string of letters and characters. In that way, we can tell if you're a different person across different wallets. So wallet 1 is 123, and wallet 2, we know it's the same person without knowing their name. So you only show your face. I hope that's clear. Here's our team. MG I met in Bali. Dylan is my co-founder. And the team is actually wider. I don't know, I skipped this slide, but Alicia, Seba, let's go. Okay, so our target audience, this is just a brief intro so you know what we're doing. Our Web3 games, just because it's such a nascent market and so many people are joining right now. There's 1 million people already playing every day. And there's going to be 10, 100 million in the future. We also created the first permissionless way to, maybe not the first, but the first that's actually going to be working with Kurt Financial. A way to use private DeFi trade and yields farming without running the risk of mixing funds with sanctioned individuals. That's already live too. Oh, and there's the wider team, great. I didn't forget about it. Lindsay just survived that hurricane in Florida, and the rest of the team. Okay, so here's my presentation. We started a year ago and a day ago, so we just had our first birthday on the 1st of September 2022 at E4So Hackathon, where me and Dylan met through Discord. And that's going full circle because right now we're building a Discord bot to also verify uniqueness of people. So it was the 3 of us. Actually, there was 5 of us in the hackathon. And what I want to talk about is our journey, but also I think you can maybe take some lessons from it of what we did and how it went down in like a real corporate setting from very humble beginnings. So there was 5 of us in the hackathon, and we were planning to basically work on this as a side project after the hackathon. We only won $200 worth of bounties. And very quickly after, we got reached out to by Outlier Ventures, which does not happen often that a VC reaches out to you if they can invest. That was a moment when we had to decide who's incorporating the business, so to speak. And the 3 of us, Philip, Dylan, and myself, Philip is the CTO of Copernic Space, we decided to open a US C Corp, which basically took us a couple of months because from the time we signed the contract with Outlier, which is around, this is incorporation date, end of October we signed the contract, and 10th of January was our demo day for Outlier Ventures Accelerator. By then we already started raising our first round, but by then we also didn't yet even have our employer insurance number, employer identification number in the US, meaning we didn't even have a bank account. And we were just bootstrapping everything. I was working full-time on this already since March, and actually from September when we started this project. Dylan was also quitting his job. So we were kind of taking a leap of faith, raising a second round without even having raised the first one, really, because we didn't have a bank account. From there, we started raising more funds. I flew to Bali where I met MG, who's not here with us right now. and he actually moved to Warsaw afterwards and lived here for 2 months. We gathered a greater team with Damian and Kamil, and we raised first tickets from investors and had a lot of calls on the fax machine with the IRS, because that's how it works currently still. It's crazy. If you have any questions how to do this, let me know. I know. Okay, and funnily enough, we raised our first price ticket on 420 at $6.9 million valuation from Celestia CTO and from Bart, who's also here. Shout out to Bart. And yeah, and things kind of started working out from there. We implemented our first client, Insert Stonks. Cheers to them. We got also a win in the Bufficorn Ventures Accelerator in ETH Denver, so we are now officially Bufficorns. You can often see Vitalik wear a Bufficorn costume himself, so that's now us. We're the OG crew of ETH Denver. Partnered with Scroll. We won the DAO Global Hackathon for One User, One Vote. Participated in Spaghetti Napoli conference also as a team. And currently, we're here a year later at the DGen meetup, which is a very historical moment for me, and I'm very happy to be here. We participated in ETH Warsaw, also started a new brand called Sunscreen, partnered with the world's biggest identity verification company on Fido, started collaborating with Polygon ID to be an issuer for them for device fingerprinting and user information, created the first possibility to trade without running the risk of mixing your funds with sanctioned individuals via Hinkle protocol. There are many more collaborations, and this is where we are here today. And this is really what I want to say, this is where our journey starts. So we're currently here in Warsaw, finally in person, because we were working fully remote. And I also wanted from here to invite you to ETH Milan. If you want to join, I can get you tickets to there. We'll be there too. And the most important part for me is painting the vision and also taking questions from you, because we'll be going also to ETH Denver conference, and then we'll be doing the activation for users. So if you go to ETH Denver, you'll be able to verify yourself as a unique human to get priority tickets. What I wanted to say here is really that every step of the way, there's nothing major that happens. There are these small wins. You jump through small obstacles. We've had over 100 pitches by now, talked with major VCs, were rejected by Sequoia twice, rejected by other VCs, sometimes once, sometimes twice, sometimes accepted, very rarely. But the big lesson here is I always take it as take the road less traveled and really believe in yourself, and also show other people what you really see in the future. And I hope in a couple of years we can celebrate it with what is our goal as a company, as an American startup under the US regulator, creating the future of anti-money laundering and payments, where finally with our solution you're able to trade privately while at the same time not run the risk of mixing funds or touching sanctioned funds, which is a necessity for Web3. Because if you really think about it, how technology works, what is Visa and MasterCard, what are they doing as private payment networks, what is SWIFT, SEPA, then you really have to know that if the future is on-chain, there needs to be an anti-money laundering layer, because otherwise this is never going to be adopted by any governments. What is the way to do this? Obviously, this is not to KYC everybody in DeFi. First of all, because it's impossible. Second of all, because it makes no sense. So we've struck a line, and we are currently working on making this a reality. And we're planning to go public on NASDAQ very soon. So I hope you can join us on this journey. And we are actually currently hiring a backend engineer. I think that position will be filled already, and a product designer. And I'm very happy to take some questions, as well as I invite you to join our Discord. Yep. Oh, and here's still a couple more slides how it actually works, so you don't forget what we're doing. Verification of uniqueness, mobile and desktop. Thank you very much.
Hello. I want to ask if this process of turning your face into a UUID is reversible, meaning also if it is possible to identify from the UUID of someone who that person is in real life and, for example, sanction them, control them, take their funds, freeze their funds, and all of the things governments like to do. Thank you.
Sure, great question. So I guess this is kind of two questions at the same time because we have two products and they relate to two products. One is the face, where we actually don't even know if you're sanctioned just on the basis of your face. The other one is with the wallet. So starting with, can you go back to the person from the UUID? Can you go back from the string? No, it's impossible. Currently, we have a centralized database of those faces, and you can ask us to delete this data in accordance with GDPR and CCPA as well as Biometrics Act, and we delete it, and then your uniqueness is no longer confirmed. The only thing you can get from this data is if you have two wallets, or you have a Discord with the same number, we also work via API, then you know this is the same UUID, but you have no idea about the user. It is possible, and it is in our roadmap to actually not store the pictures in the future, rather to store a 3D vector of the face, which would be more privacy preserving, and this is the maximal solution that's possible currently. This is on our roadmap quite soon, and we're fundraising for this. But essentially, it still boils down to some data being stored, and actually, this is the same way that WorldCoin stores their 3D iris vectors. However, in their case, it's in a closed loop system, when in our case, it's more open and public. Regarding the sanctions verification, obviously with non-custodial wallets, there is no way for anyone to freeze your funds. However, as a sanctioned individual in the future world, some payment networks could be sanctioned. You could imagine a network of account abstracted wallets which only operate within non-sanctioned sector, which I think actually will happen. Maybe not in a way of account extraction, but the banking system has inputs and outputs. PKO Bank Polski, where we currently are, is the biggest Polish bank. And they verify users physically and digitally for anti-money laundering every day. And everybody transaction in the payments network is actually verified, sometimes better, sometimes worse. There's a bank in Skierniewice very famous for not doing this properly, for those in the know. But in general, there is some kind of entry and exit points. So we're creating the entry and exit points, and somebody could sanction the network, but you would still have your funds in your wallet, which means you could send it wherever you want because it's non-custodial. I hope it answers the question. Okay, we got it.
Yeah, I got the one.
Any questions, go, guys.
So,
hi, is your mission statement somehow aligned with WorldCoin?
I think not. I think we are serving a completely different purpose. We are solving a problem for Web3 games, Discord servers. So you do a giveaway, people farm the giveaways. You do an airdrop, people farm the airdrops. We're solving that problem. We're selling a simple service. One user, you pay $1 per check. And WorldCoin has no commercial value. At least they don't want to present it. They are rather trying to create a global currency, which I love people working at WorldCoin, which in my eyes, what WorldCoin is trying to build is trying to build a payments network that will work in a times of crisis for people in distressed countries who have no access to other forms of digital communication or payments, which could be very beneficial in a situation of a humanitarian crisis, as well as they're creating a coin which a value accrues from the sheer amount of users they are quote-unquote scanning. And while I don't think there is nothing in particularly bad with the scanning, it's more questionable, or maybe not questionable, but like it's interesting what this could be used for, especially in the context of AGI that is so vividly promoted on their website.
So I want to ask about the accuracy of your software, because gaming is cool and it's fine, but what about the real applications for different stuff? Because when it comes to like finance, banking, you cannot just do it with the biometrics. It's not enough, never. So I wanted to ask about the accuracy, and when do you think the biometrics will be good enough to really identify people for serious business, not only games?
Well, you know, biometrics only, we do it only for if you're a real person, if you're there present at the device, and if you're unique. We cannot really tell much more about you unless we connect to some kind of a database where we already verified your governmental identity document, right? And the exception being India, where actually they have a biometric scan of all of their citizens, over 1 billion data points, which is crazy and very exciting, possibly to work with that in the future. But our solution that is on DeFi currently is not compliant in the sense of KYC, particularly because we do not give you user's name or surname. So you don't know who this is. We just attest this user is not sanctioned, but we built the proprietary first in the world system of if we are subpoenaed by the US government or any other government where we open a subsidiary, we are able to prove via a zero knowledge proof that we actually did the anti-money laundering verification for that particular user. And this could become legal in the future. This is our vision of reality that's the closest to the truth. And our terms of service actually say that you are not doing KYC per se, you're doing an AML risk-adjusted approach to human verification. But it is in our roadmap to create full KYC for MiCA-compliant wallets. But this is more of a business than a philosophical case, really, at this point. Essentially, I think your question is very valid, and this is the question we're answering, but the regulations will change in a couple of years, and we want to be at the forefront of it. And even if they don't match what we've built, we'll be well positioned to tweak it slightly, and hopefully this will be something similar to what we've built, or maybe somebody smarter will figure out something even better. Thank you.
Hi again. One of the main important feature of blockchain is that people can be anonymous. Why you want to change it? And generally, if I'm afraid that if we stop this feature and we will make the blockchain not anonymous, we will stop the growing of community of blockchain. You know?
I would disagree completely. So this is the biggest enabler of community growth on chain, and it does not stop anonymity. We're literally creating privacy preservation solutions for what has to happen. So if you look at the governments, do you think it is possible for people to just use some tokens on chain to do anything and settle physical payments in US dollar on chain with full anonymity? We are not trying to stop this. This is perfectly fine. We're building an opt-in layer for specialized use cases where you don't want to run the risk of mixing your funds with sanctioned individuals, where you want to use the blockchain for legitimate business, and also in the terms of facial biometrics verification, we're solving the problem of airdrop farmers and people who are trying to abuse the system, also without running a risk of sacrificing their privacy, because all of the data we store is deletable per request, and the only thing we share is a UUID string, which is non-verifiable and privacy preserving. So I think it's ill-advised to think that solutions which move, for example, uniqueness verification on-chain, to consider them a threat to privacy, because they're practically the opposite. They're enabling legitimate users to receive bigger rewards. They are enabling in-game economics and in general DeFi economics or DAO governance to be valid and useful, and more resistance against Sybil attacks or farming.
So do we have some more questions? So warm applause for Adam.